astronaut who was lost in space for 311 days. He had a family, a girlfriend, but was left stranded in space. What happened to him is unbelievable. Sergei Krikalev was a Soviet astronaut who was aboard the Mir space station. Little did he know that this journey would change his life. It all started in May 1991, when he embarked with other astronauts and began his work in space. But what was supposed to last only 5 months ended up going completely off course. On the day Sergei was supposed to return home, he was left alone on the station. While he had company, he surely kept himself distracted as if he hadn't left Earth. But now that he was alone, how would Sergei react? He continued working alone on the station, as the work didn't stop, and eagerly awaited the day he would finally return home. After all, he wasn't trained to spend more than 5 months in space. Sergei knew he couldn't leave the station empty. Someone had to come to replace him, but it took longer than he expected. A month had passed, and he finally received the news that he would soon be going home, until his hope of leaving that place and seeing his beloved family again was shattered. Sergei was informed that he couldn't return because his home no longer existed. The Soviet Union had ceased to exist. The country that had promised to bring him back home had abandoned him in space. Imagine being completely alone in space and finding out that everything you know, everything you have, no longer exists. And to top it off, you have no idea how long you will continue to be alone. That would drive anyone crazy. The days passed slowly for Sergei, and his life was about to get worse. You see, when the human body spends too much time in zero gravity, it goes into a state of distress, which greatly weakens the body. Despite his intense exercise routine, his muscles began to weaken, and his bones became more fragile. And to make matters worse, Sergei's mental health had already been affected. But something more dangerous was happening, and he couldn't do anything about it. Despite all spacecraft being equipped with shields and coatings against radiation, none of them are 100% protected, and the radiation, mainly from the sun, was causing horrible damage and destroying his body from the inside. He could use the capsule he had at the station to return to Earth, but how do you go back to a place that no longer exists? Sergei had many reasons to panic, but he did everything he could to stay healthy and not lose his mind, even though every month he received the same answer that he couldn't be brought back. He spent a total of 311 days abandoned in space, and a large part of that time was completely alone, suffering from feelings and pains that only he knew. Sergei completed a total of 5,000 orbits around the Earth. He was almost losing hope when the unexpected happened. He received the long-awaited message that a German astronaut would take his place. Finally, his home was ready to welcome him back, but would he be able to handle returning with his body so weakened? He was so thin and worn out that it took 4 men to help him out of the capsule and stand on the ground. Despite everything he had been through, he was extremely happy to be back with his girlfriend and family, who were there to welcome him. Anyone who went through all of this would never want to even get on a plane to travel again, right? But the brave Sergei returned to space just 2 years later. He used all the experience he had, and in 2005 broke his own world record, which was previously 311 days in space, to 803 days. Sergei is proof that our traumas cannot limit us. Being stranded in space and losing contact with everyone he loved didn't destroy this man.